Okay, but let's rewind for a second here. It's presented as obvious that Trump should do well with white midwestern voters, and that there's all these states in Jesus land that he should obviously win. But I think maybe we might want to rewind and actually take a look at the polling before we draw any conclusions. Okay, and maybe reanalyze the demographic analysis in the first place. Um, because I mean, what I'm gonna argue against a lot of your demographics arguments because I don't like them. I don't think they're causal. But either so, I think that maybe we might want to reanalyze the logic that you're using to come to the conclusion that Trump should have an advantage in these areas. And then do some polling to see, what it is that's actually being upheld here. I'd like to see some polls in Kentucky, in Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, even Mississippi. And I don't mean you, I mean, you. You claim that voters in the middle of America want to vote for the person that they see themselves most in. I don't really disagree. I think that data kind of upholds that. It's not exactly identity politics in the intersectionality sense, but it's the broad idea, right? So we don't have really targeted compartments to throw people in here. But broadly speaking, there's the us and them kind of mentality of things, right? And then you claim that they'll vote for the northeastern liberal, Donald Trump, instead of the midwestern conservative, Hillary Clinton. Now, we might have forgotten that Donald Trump is a northeastern liberal. And we may have forgotten that Hillary Clinton is a midwestern conservative, although I don't know how you would forget the latter. She was First Lady of Arkansas for some time. And then she was First Lady of the country for some time. All of it while representing a southern state. It's a long time. You think the people of Arkansas and Missouri and Tennessee and Mississippi, you think that they've forgotten that? She's not the outsider from New York. It's Donald Trump that's the outsider from New York. So how does this make any sense? How does what you're saying compute? See, this is why I think Missouri is going to be so important. Virginia is a different scenario. You've got expanding urbanization, migration south, and just general colonization. Okay, it's kind of the truth of it. It's a language to poke, Southerners in the eye with, but it's the truth. Virginia. Yeah, Virginia has been colonized by the North. Virginia. We got Virginia. But Missouri is actually deindustrializing. So it's not the same scenario. You can say the same thing in Colorado. Colorado is urbanizing. Missouri, that this is the argument of Missouri moving into the red category, is that it's turning into Iowa, right? So she can't pull this off everywhere. But that cluster of states around Missouri is the real wild card. I don't think she'll win Arkansas, but it very well might be closer than North Carolina. I don't think she'll win Tennessee, but she'll probably lose it by less than Trump loses Pennsylvania by. Meaning that what I'm trying to get across is that I think she has a better chance of pulling off an upset in those areas around the Mississippi River than Trump does of pulling off an upset in any northeastern states. Which on some level reflects how hard it's going to be for Trump to win, but on another reflects her strength in these areas, right? With Missouri, I mean, if Missouri was urbanizing, then it would be like Colorado, right? But because I mean, like, I think Colorado has become a safe Democratic state, and I mean, apparently Clinton has pulled funding for ads there, so she sees it as a safe Democratic state as well. I think that pulling funding in Virginia is premature. I think Virginia is still a swing state, but I think Colorado was a blue state. And the reason is because of all of the urbanization. It doesn't really matter who they run. In Colorado, it's a flyover state. They're going to vote for the Democrats. Not again. I pointed this out elsewhere, not on a county by county basis, but because Denver wins the state, right? Missouri's going through the opposite process. It's reverting back to, farmland. But because it's Clinton specifically, I think that gives her an advantage. Um, in this particular election, it turns Missouri into Iowa, or a state like Iowa. The more insular rural population that is going to make their voting decisions based on what people that are like them, based on that identification, that us or them kind of mentality. I recognize this person as one of me, and this person as the other, that will help Clinton in Missouri. It'll help her in the other places as well, but I mean, it's just they're too far gone, right? But like I say, don't be surprised, okay? If Kentucky or Tennessee are like 2 or 3 points. I don't think that any of those states are solid Republican wins. I think that she could, in theory, pull off an upset there. And if there is some extraneous circumstance, like the rise of Gary Johnson, then those states are within striking distance for her. It's harder to come up with a scenario where Trump could win Pennsylvania. I know the media has been pushing the message for a long time now, but the reality is that Hillary Clinton is not a Northeastern liberal. And the people in the Midwestern states are not going to interpret her as a Northeastern liberal. They will interpret Trump in the end as a Northeastern liberal. But they won't interpret her that way. If she was a Northeastern liberal like Bernie Sanders, a real one, right, I wouldn't be so revolted by her. Rather, she's a Midwestern conservative. And she is, okay? And that's the basis of the pushback. That's why we had this harsh primary process. Because all the Northeastern, people that supported Northeastern liberals didn't want to vote for a Midwestern conservative. Or, West Coast liberals, too, right? And if the Midwest really does prioritize their own over outsiders, and I think it does, then of course she will be competitive there, because she's their own, and he's the outsider. Even if in the end Missouri is the only state that can get close enough that she can actually win. She's going to swoop down there, she's going to pull out the drawl, and of course, who are they going to see themselves in more? He's a distant billionaire from New York. If you live in the Midwest, a New York accent is a foreign accent. And Trump's is a pretty dominant accent. He's married to some European floozy. He's an outsider. A distant outsider. Are they going to see themselves in that, or are they going to see themselves in the woman that they've known for years through her husband, and that talks and acts and sounds like them? The argument that Trump will be able to appeal to their insularity, that does not make any sense. We've only had one poll from Kentucky so far, back in June, but Clinton was actually beating Trump by 3 points. Kentucky. And that's not crazy to me. because that's her home state. Well, not Kentucky exactly, but that's her home area. We haven't seen a poll in Mississippi since March, and I wouldn't expect to see a lot of polling in Mississippi, okay? But Trump was only up by 3 points. Again, it's not so crazy. I've got some videos here of Clinton with her accent, which she hasn't been, I mean, for obvious reasons, the accent's been in the closet for a little while there. She did pull it out in the primaries. Went down, had a tough, I think it was Kentucky, tough fight in Kentucky, and she brought the accent out. The southeast is a little bit different, but it's also within striking distance if Johnson can split the vote. Um, in Georgia specifically, like Pro did in '92. Bill Clinton won Georgia in 1992. Not literally, but Perot split the vote, so he won the electoral votes. I think you need to challenge your assumptions on this. I think Clinton will do very well in the Midwest.